Hello all. Today I'm just going to briefly touch upon the very important and aspect of the frauds which we keep seeing day in and day out in our news and other medias and all that one. That is, and which we have in general discussed in some other earlier lessons. That is, namely, bank frauds. See, these frauds in banks. Uh, 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 why they occur? I mean, what is the global scenario? What is the Indian scenario? And why they are occurring? And what are the preventive steps in brief? The thing is, in the global scenario, say fraud risk costs are increasing at a faster rate than fraud risk management spending. Okay, and 2015 to 18 bank frauds include mainly focused on identity theft, accounts takeover, cyber attacks, and credit debit card frauds, and data theft, and financial statements frauds. Okay, and there's always the involvement of internal stuff in many of these bank frauds. It is not entirely even whether let it be hacking, let it be data theft, or whatever may be the fraud. In 90% of the cases, it is with somebody's help internally. And also, unfortunately, it is also in a survey it was found out that about 20-25% of the money lost only is recoverable in many of these bank scams. Okay, all this is happening despite the implement of the latest technology regarding voice and facial recognition, fingerprint, biometrics, other latest technologies, fraud alerts, and all these things. And mainly, the focus is on cyber attacks, hacking. Okay, and all this is happening due to social engineering because of uh, uh, because of people depending on the internet and various social media and other things. For example, and the data also can be secured on from for millions of these bank customers on eBay, Equifax, Facebook, and so many other things from where the personal data and other data also can be obtained. That is overall the global scenario. Yeah, today actually I want to in particular just highlight from Indian perspective because unfortunately it is found that as far as the bank frauds are concerned, India stands highest among all other nations. These are things. See, as per an RBI annual report, 159% there's a up in bank frauds to 1.85 rupees trillion in 2019-20. Okay, which is a 159 jump from the previous year, and 28% spike in the number of cases, and 98% frauds in advances. Okay, and 80% public sector banks are involved. 18.4% only our private sector banks are involved in all this wherever there is a bank fraud. And in 1819, it was 71,543 crores of rupees, and 1920 it is 1.8 rupees trillion rupees. Okay, which is that 158 or 159% jump I have mentioned. See, the frauds, quite a few are being okay. Also, the statistics also sometimes may be misleading or whatever because many of these frauds they are also carry forward from the previous years and all this one, and the time lag also is huge. It may be not a short period of 1 year or something, or 6 months, or below 1 year or something, but they are also their average occurrence and the time they are detected there is a lapse of even up to 2 years. Nobody is able to, the fraud is not coming out deeply. So let us now, I want to briefly give you these statistics. Next, before moving out to the reasons for these bank frauds and how it can be mitigated to some extent. Thing. You see, uh, uh, mainly in the global scenario, also banks are frauds occur the bank frauds can occur, and they can be identified through customers' accounts operation, third parties interaction, whistleblowers, internal and external audits through system checks and these things. And unfortunately, India has the highest online banking frauds globally. Yeah, it was in a survey. It was discovered that India has the highest online banking frauds globally, and the age group which maximum uses online banking is between 25 to 40 years. In this age group, they use the maximum, and and that is where these bank frauds are occurring. Now, having seen this global phenomena and the Indian context of the rise from 1819 to 1920 of 159 jump, uh, and all that is why the basic reasons are very simple, which are identified as lack of training of the bank staff. Okay, then probably people who are newly recruited are straightway with a very inadequate training are put in more critical areas of the banking. Huh? Then without knowing, those people may get involved, or are not able to discharge their duties properly, enabling the frauds. So a lack of training of the staff, then overburdened staff. Okay, in some branches we see in India, in the Indian context I'm talking, there you find there are too many people, and some branches you find there are very few people to handle the thing. Okay, they say it is a rural branch and there will be few people. Half the people are field officers, which they have never been in the branches, and the very few are from branch manager to one officer. They struggle the whole day. Whereas in some city branches and all, you will see there are too many people. Okay, doing the jobs. So, and also in some city branches, also again, as I observed during my concurrent contract, there is shortage of staff. So either there is a shortage of staff or there is too many people. Both are not good for an effective banking. And also there is competition among these banks. Nowadays, irrespective of the public sectors, there is too many private sector banks also have come. So even they are competing, and also these public sector are also competing with these private banks and all these things. So too much competition. The top people, the highest level of these branches, they only conduct seminars at these branches and all that one, simply giving them targets, achieve these advantages, achieve these advances. On the one hand, government is dumping with so many schemes and all that. So their focus is only on increasing the business. Okay, and so that is a tough challenge they give. So that is one of the reasons where there is scope for frauds. Then low compliance levels. This is most important. You see, when you go through any website or anything, you see, as I discussed earlier, too many policies, procedures, notifications, probably daily notifications and all this one, and are at frequent intervals. But however, nobody is monitoring the compliance part of it, because of lack of time, because of shortage of a thing, because of their inadequate training or whatever. Then ignoring the lack of time or not following up early warning signals and exception reports. Always banks and all that, there will be early warning reports, alerts, exception reports, all these is come. But who has the time? Now, half the people in the branch staff, they are not concerned with all this part of the banking. They only do their job of normal banking and all these things, and close it up. Only very few, maybe the branch manager and other officer or two only are involved. But their focus is always due to pressure from the top to get advances, get advances. They can't even focus on the daily reports or these exception reports and all these things, and they don't know even what is happening. I mean, if on a daily basis, seriously, a dedicated person is working on it, definitely quite a few frauds can be avoided or prevented. So that is another hindrance. Then incomplete, insufficient check on properties pledged. That's another big thing. because we come across the thing that the same profits are pledged for different banks and all these things, and so there should be a closer scrutiny. The legal there should be even though we see the legal opinions and all that one. We have to make sure that properties are not pledged elsewhere, and we're getting a EOC or whatever, and all these things. So sometimes they're proper, but some other whenever a fraud occurs, you will find there is a lapse in all these aspects. Okay, then regular training sessions to staff and also customers should be educated, because customers also can help prevent frauds from their perspective, or at least as far as their account is concerned. So customers also should be educated, and the staff also should be regularly trained and all that. And in my opinion, it is not the bank internal people giving them lectures, but there should be an external consultant or external professional who should be giving them the proper training. Okay, yeah, besides whatever the internally the bank gives the training, because most of these things the banks give more of targets in their training. Also they give more of targets than to exactly highlight the facts on the fraud. See, and putting pressure on achieving mainly targets and advances is the top management's always review thing. Only when fraud comes, again the same people are put to think that you have not done this, you have not done this, you should have ought to have verified this. As fraud examiners or forensic accountants, we only question all these things. But the poor guys, they don't, many cases I've seen myself, they do not have all the time, and there are no dedicated people to look into all those reports and all these on a daily basis. They are always running after getting customers and achieving targets. And uh, so they are supposed there should be a dedicated person to check these exception reports and other follow-ups on a daily basis. Then only there is some scope of prevention of frauds by early warning signals, which these reports do generate. And making sure that regular external monthly audit reports are immediately taken care of. Unfortunately, in Indian context, in the concurrent audits and all that, I have seen that some branches of some banks, I have never got a proper feedback on our concurrent audit report, except saying, yeah, they are taken care of, or other people have attended, and that should not be the case. There should be regular follow-up, and the action taken report should be circulated among the auditors also, and the auditors also should not commence, in my opinion, another month's audit unless they are satisfied that their previous month's queries are also properly addressed and attended to, and any missing documents and all are obtained and shown to the auditors. And also there should be rotation of even external auditors every year, in my opinion. I think nowadays they keep continuing for 2-3 years also with the same audit firms, which, in my opinion, the prudent measure. The external auditors also should be changed, and they may be given another branch or another bank, but the same branch they should be rotated every 1 year. And also there are things like whenever anything is identified, okay, and that should be immediately followed up, uh, and should be close to the satisfaction of one and all. And the thing is, most of the advances I have observed in my own experience are not monitored, as in some cases, several cases, we do mention in our report that there is no control on the specific advance that is obtained from by a borrower for a specific purpose. Then that is either diverted to another personal uses, or it may be diverted to repay some other loan, or it may be diverted to start some other business or something. There is no control, and also it may be invested in some various other companies and all that, which may be shell companies, which may not be effective, which has got nothing to do with the main operations or business of the banks. And so there should be and that is possible. Definitely, the branch manager level and all, they do not have the time and they cannot focus on it. Some external auditors or external professionals should be there to give a proper report, specifically giving each transaction report of whether the funds are properly utilized in fact or not. So which is because the misutilization of funds only will end up in an NPA, and subsequently there will be frauds also in that context. And so that so the other thing is, make sure that the funds advance are properly utilized. Customers also uh, must be trained along, and just like the staff are trained. Okay, and so the thing, as I briefly now explained, is, see, the bank frauds are mainly occurring because the to put it very simply, there is only pressure uh, uh, to give loan advances under, okay, and afterwards when the NPAs are increasing and all that, there is pressure to recover. So the people at the ground level, that is the branch managers of the branches, are struggling to give advances on one hand, struggling to recover on the other, and they do not have the time to sit before a report and then analyze and do these things. And whenever the auditors are pointing out these anomalies or these casing, they struggle to get the replies, and in some cases they do not they are not able to even get a because the interaction with the customer is also not that much to ask questions from the branches. So all these are so only the policies, procedure, notifications, and then giving that there are fraud risk management is there. We are spending so much on these technologies. Is all is of no use unless practically they it is they are implemented. Somebody is making sure that it is done, and making sure mainly the advances, mainly 90% of the fraud cases happens in the case of advances through misutilization, diversion, and these things, and so that's how the monies are lost. Apart from the other regular cyber crimes, hacking, data theft, and debit card, credit card mischiefs, and okay, then these are all those also constitute substantially. Those all come under cyber crime. Mm, cybercrime, and as such they should be immediately reported, and task should be addressed. So the thing is, in Indian scenario, it is the bank frauds are really on the increase, and yeah, unless positive steps like these are taken, they and implemented, uh, there will not be substantial change in the number of cases of the amount of frauds that are going to occur in the future. So these brief words, with these words, I conclude this session, this aspect of the bank frauds. And so, how the bank frauds are increasing, and what are the various reasons of the bank frauds to occur, and what are the general remedies that may be that are to be effectively done to prevent these bank frauds. So, with these brief words, I close this session, and we'll move ahead with more in the future. Thank you.